Welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. And when you get a chance, go back and view previous episodes. This is going to be called Stepping into Discomfort, Growth, Connection, and Taking Responsibility. For years, I denied myself growth because I was afraid of discomfort. In this episode, I'll take you through my timeline, the good connections, the bad ones, and the neutral spaces that taught me more than I realized at the time. I share how I faced consequences, taking full responsibility for my choices, and learned that nobody owes you anything. This is about being uncomfortable and being understanding and understanding your patterns and discovering real growth through self-awareness and honest connections. For years, I denied myself growth because I didn't want to feel uncomfortable. I told myself I was fine, right where I was. I convinced myself that peace meant staying the same. The silence was safety. That's not changing somehow made me stronger. But really, I was scared. I was scared to fail. I was scared to lose. I was scared to see what I might find if I actually looked at myself without excuses. It's crazy how comfort can trick you. It tells you everything's okay, even when deep down you know it's not. I spent years chasing that kind of comfort, the kind that looks at peace from outside, but it's really avoidance. You start convincing yourself you're chasing calm when really you're chasing not to grow. And for a while, that lie works until it doesn't. Looking back, I see how consequences played into it all. I met people who pushed me, people who drained me, and people who just existed somewhere in between. Not good or bad, just part of the background of my life. The good ones, they helped me see myself. They believed in me when I couldn't. They didn't try to fix me. They just reminded me that I was capable of more than I was showing. Those connections were rare, and I held on to them pretty tight. The bad ones, well, they taught me to. Sometimes the people who hurt you are the ones who hold up the clearest mirror. They show you where your boundaries are weak, where your self-respect slips, where your patterns repeat. I used to look at those connections with anger, but now I see they were lessons wrapped in pain. It's not personal. It's just life handing you a truth you weren't ready to face yet. And then there were the neutral ones, people who didn't hurt me or help me. They just passed through. For a long time, I didn't understand why I met them. But now I realize not every connection is meant to change you. Some are there to fill a space for a while. They show you the rhythm of being human. That not every story has to be deep. Not every encounter has to mean something. That's part of balance, too. It took me a long time to learn that nobody owes me anything. Not love, not loyalty, not understanding. I used to think people were supposed to see my effort and meet me halfway. That's not how it works. Everyone's carrying their own weight. People give what they can with what they have. And sometimes what they have isn't much. I used to take that personally, like it was a reflection of my worth, but it's not. It's just life doing what it does, teaching you to depend on what you can control. I can't lie. I've made mistakes in this process, some big, some quiet. I've stayed in situations longer than I should have because I didn't want to be the one to walk away. I've ignored red flags because peace felt better than confrontation. I've told myself, maybe it'll change, when deep down I knew it wouldn't. And every time I did that, I paid for it. The consequence wasn't something loud or dramatic. It was subtle. It was losing trust in myself. Every time I ignored that small voice inside that said, this ain't right, I chipped away at my own confidence. That's the kind of pain nobody sees. The slow, quiet kind that builds over time until one day you realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And I take full responsibility for that. Nobody made those choices for me. I did. I chose comfort over clarity. I chose silence when I should have spoken up. I chose to maintain peace with others while breaking peace with myself. And owning that, really owning it. That's where the shift starts. Because when you stop blaming others for where you are, you finally get the power to change it. Discomfort isn't punishment, it's a signal. It's life's way of showing you that something inside you needs to expand. It doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're growing. It's not supposed to feel easy. Growth is supposed to stretch you, pull you out of what's familiar. That's how you find out who you really are. And man, I've learned that growth doesn't come in clean moments. It comes in chaos, in the arguments you didn't handle right, and the nights you couldn't sleep because your mind wouldn't stop replaying things you wish you said differently. It comes in the uncomfortable silence after you realize you've outgrown a version of yourself that you used to love. That's the real work. Sitting in that discomfort without running from it. I used to think I had to cut everybody off to grow, but that's not true. You don't always have to burn bridges. Sometimes you have to stop crossing them. Growth doesn't always mean isolation. Sometimes it means redefining how you connect. You learn to appreciate people without needing them to validate you. You learn to love people without losing yourself in the process. There were times when I thought I was changing, but really, I was just rearranging the same patterns. I'd leave a bad situation and walk straight into another one that looked different but felt the same. That's when I realized that change doesn't happen when you move to different places or meet new people. It happens when you finally face your habits. And those habits, man, they're tough. Comfort hides inside them. You think you're in control, but really, you're running on autopilot. You tell yourself, this is just how I am. But that's a lie. Comfort tells you to keep you safe. Real change is uncomfortable. It forces you to look at your part and your own pain. There's no point you reach where you stop asking, why did they do that to me? And start asking, why did I allow it? That question hurts, but it's honest. It's the kind of question that shifts everything because it brings accountability back to where it belongs, on you, on your choices, on your silence. Once I started asking myself that, life got clearer. Not easier, just clearer. I started seeing how every negative experience wasn't just random. It was connected to something in me I hadn't dealt with yet. That's when I realized discomfort is feedback. It's showing you exactly where the work needs to be done. Some of the hardest lessons came from people I loved, people who didn't mean to hurt me, but did. And I had to learn how to forgive without pretending it didn't happen. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's accepting that what happened, happened, and choosing not to carry it like a weight anymore. That's what real peace looks like. And you know what's wild? When you start taking responsibility for your part in everything, even the stuff that wasn't entirely your fault, you stop feeling like a victim. You start feeling powerful again. Because the moment you own it, you can change it. But that doesn't mean life suddenly gets easy. Growth is uncomfortable by design. You have days when you doubt everything. You'll lose people. You'll face moments where you question if it's worth it. And it is. Because every step through discomfort takes you closer to becoming the person you're supposed to be. I think that's what maturity really is. Not having everything figured out, but finally accepting that discomfort and uncertainty are part of the deal. You stop chasing easy. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You start doing the hard things even when nobody claps for you. I've had connections that broke me open and made me face myself. I've had quiet seasons where I felt completely alone, and loud seasons where I felt surrounded but still empty. Both taught me something. Both were necessary because without those uncomfortable spaces, I wouldn't have learned who was really for me or who I was when nobody was watching. These days, I don't run from comfort anymore. When it shows up, I try to listen. I ask, what it's trying to teach me? Sometimes it's telling me to let go. Sometimes it's telling me to step up. Either way, it's always pointing toward growth. We all want peace. But the truth is, peace doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from understanding it, from realizing that the good and the bad, the wins and the losses, they're all part of the same story. You can't have one without the other. And maybe that's the point of all this, that nobody owes you comfort, and life doesn't owe you fairness. But every single experience, every connection, every consequence adds up to something. You just have to be willing to see the lesson inside the mess. Because in the end, growth isn't about who hurt you or who helped you. It's about what you did with it. That's the part nobody tells you. Everyone loves to talk about moving on, starting fresh, being better. But they skip over the part where you sit in the dark trying to figure out how to actually do it. Growth sounds good until it costs you everything familiar, until it starts demanding honesty instead of excuses, until it asks you to stop running from yourself. For a long time, I thought healing meant feeling good. I thought it meant finding peace and smiling again. But that's not what it looks like. Healing feels like confusion. It feels like being torn between the person you were and the person you're trying to become. You start to realize how much of your identity was built on survival, on doing whatever it took just to make it through the day. And when survival is no longer necessary, you have to figure out who you are without the chaos. That part hurts because suddenly the thing that used to make sense doesn't anymore. The habits that once protected, you start to suffocate from them. The people you used to lean on start to feel distant, and you can't explain it. You just know something in you is changing. That's the price of growth. It costs comfort and it costs connection, but it gives you something better. It gives you truth. And truth, even when it hurts, is freeing. It gives you permission to stop pretending. It gives you clarity. It strips away the shrouds. Who you should be, what you should have, what you should tolerate. Truth makes space for you to be real. I've had to face some hard truths about myself, like how often I used to play victim just because it felt safer than being accountable, or how I'd call people fake for pulling back when really they were just outgrowing the version of me that refused to grow. That's a tough pill to swallow, realizing that sometimes you were the problem. But that's what discomfort is supposed to do. It exposes you. It shows you where you've been hiding. You can either defend your old ways or face them. And facing them, that's where everything starts to change. It took me a long time to stop asking, why me? And start asking, why is this teaching me? Because life doesn't happen to you. It responds to you. Every situation you find yourself in, good, bad, or neutral, has something to say. You just have to be quiet enough to hear it. And when you finally start listening, you realize how much of life is about perspective. That person who hurt you might have been the wake-up call you needed. That failure that embarrassed you might have been the doorway to something greater. It's easy to see the pain. It's harder to see the purpose. But that's where wisdom comes in. I think about the people I've lost, friendships, relationships, even family ties. And at first, I saw it all as rejection. I thought something was wrong with me, but now I see it differently. Some people leave because their part in your story is done, and some stay, but in a different capacity. That doesn't mean anyone's wrong. It just means life moves. People evolve. You either grow together or you grow apart. That's not betrayal. That's nature. And if I'm being honest, I've been on both sides of that. I've been the one left behind, and I've been the one who outgrew someone else. Both hurt. Both were fair. Because nobody owes you forever. The most anyone can give you is honesty in the moment. And if that moment ends, you let it. That's what growth requires. The willingness to let go of what's no longer serving you, even if it once made you happy. I used to think losing people was punishment, but it's not. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes God, the universe, whatever you believe in, removes people from your path because they can't go where you're headed. You can't fight it. All you can do is trust it. Either way, life keeps moving. And when you start to accept that not everything lost is a loss, you start finding peace in things not working out. You stop trying to force understanding. You stop explaining yourself to people. who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop begging for closure and start giving it to yourself. That's the part where growth starts to feel better. It starts to feel lighter. You stop taking everything so personally. You stop seeing every ending as the end of the world. You start to realize that every uncomfortable experience, every mistake, every bad connection, they were all shaping you, preparing you. But I won't lie, even with that understanding, discomfort still sneaks up. There are still moments when I doubt everything, when I question if I've really grown or if I'm just fooling myself, when I catch myself repeating patterns I swore I had outgrown. That part of it too. Growth isn't a straight line. You'll relapse into old habits. You'll slip, you'll regress. But that doesn't erase your progress. It just means you're still human. And that's another thing I had to learn, giving myself grace. I used to hold myself to impossible standards, thinking that if I messed up once, all my work was undone. But that's not true. Growth isn't perfection, it's awareness. It's catching yourself faster. It's choosing differently next time. It's progress, not purity. The more I grow, the more I realize discomfort doesn't go away. You just learn how to move through it. It becomes a companion instead of a threat. You stop fighting it and you start walking with it. It stops being the thing that scares you and becomes the thing that strengthens you. And it changes how you see people too. You start to notice that everyone's carrying something. You become softer, more understanding. You stop expecting perfection from others because you know how hard it is to hold yourself together. You start giving people the same patience you wish someone gave you. That's growth too. Not just what you do for yourself, but how you show up for others. I think about all the times I judged people for things I didn't understand, why they couldn't change, why they kept going back, why they couldn't see what I saw. Now I get it. Everyone's fighting their own battle with discomfort. Everyone's trying to unlearn something. Everyone's healing from something they don't talk about. It's easy to judge from the outside. It's harder to understand from the inside. That understanding made me more grateful for people who stayed, the ones who didn't give up on me when I was hard to be around, when I was defensive, when I was still figuring it out. Those connections mean more now because I know how rare it is to be loved through your process. But I also learned to stop taking it personal when people leave. Sometimes you can love people deeply and still need distance. Sometimes the best thing you can do for each other is part ways peacefully. It doesn't have to be drama. It can just be growth. When I look at my timeline now, I can see the stages clearly. Denial, discomfort, consequence, reflection, and then acceptance. Every stage had a purpose. Denial kept me comfortable. Discomfort woke me up. Consequence humbled me. Reflection gave me awareness. And acceptance, that gave me peace. I think that's what life keeps trying to teach me. That every part, even the ugly ones, has value. That I can't grow if I'm always looking for an easy route. That accountability hurts, but it's necessary. And that discomfort, as painful as it feels, is what connects us all. Because everyone's been there. Everyone knows what it's like to be scared, to start. Everyone's felt the weight of responsibility for choices they wish they could redo. That's what makes us human. And maybe that's the beauty of it. The connection that comes from being honest about your process, not pretending you've got it all together, but admitting that you're still learning. The honesty builds bridges. It's what brings real people together. Because truth recognizes truth. So yeah, I've made mistakes. I've faced consequences. I've lost people. But I've also found myself, and I'm still finding myself. Every uncomfortable day teaches me something new. Every awkward conversation, every moment of silence, every season of waiting, they're all shaping me into something more grounded, more self-aware, more capable of handling what's next. And I don't need to rush it anymore. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly through choices, through awareness, through discomfort. It's not about who's ahead or behind. It's about who's still trying. I guess what I'm saying is this. Don't run from discomfort. Don't resent the people who forced you to grow. Don't be ashamed of the lessons that came with pain. It's all part of it. Nobody owes you fairness. Nobody owes you peace. But you owe it to yourself to keep becoming. And even when it feels like nothing's changing, remember, discomfort is movement. It means something inside you is shifting, realigning, rebuilding. So breathe through it. Let it teach you. Let it refine you. And most importantly, take responsibility for your part, because that's where real strength begins. Because once you look at your life, your choices, your connections, the good, the bad, the neutral, and say, yeah, that was me, that's when you know you've grown.